keep it with their
Keep it in the good
chronology.
graces. We'll keep it in the good graces. and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of how to read this resolution. I might have you, Charlie, give the highlights of this.
Okay, we can talk. Oh, this is the 136, the
Yeah.
before the number 3.
Resolution of the local law of the
That's the original
So, oh, this is the
resolution. That's the
resolution.
original
So
resolution,
the-
so just need to change
The resolution, I would say, is that we are making a resolution.
Charles, something about clarifying.
It's not that big.
Maybe you want to ask him for
Okay.
Does everybody understand that?
Yeah. Kind of understand the state. I mean, someday, 5 years, 10 years down the line, you're like, wait a minute, 1, 2, 4. It would give the illusion that, okay, what happened to the
The thing is, that, as I was saying to Natalie, if you look at the state laws, they always have several with a Senate number.
Yeah.
And it's really, those are not really chronological order at all. However, I think what happens to the governor signs, we don't go through that process. They go through multiple processes. We just go through, basically, we have the post hearing and we designate some shit. No big deal.
All right. So I've been instructed that when they start, I'm going to count 1 Mississippi, 2.
I'll give you the thumbs.
You'll give me the thumbs up.
Yeah. I got 729 right now.
Yeah. Oh, you do? I have
7:30.
7:30.
It is now.
All right, well, let's bring the Thursday, April 4th, 2024 Webster Town Board meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dolly, can you do roll?
Supervisor Flaherty,
Here.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Present?
Councilman Cahill, Councilwoman Wynn. Here. Councilwoman Wright. Here. Town Attorney Genesi.
Present.
Okay, the first item up tonight is our open to the floor, where each speaker is allowed up to 5 minutes to talk about anything they'd like to. I did look at the sign-in sheet just 2 minutes before the board meeting started, and nobody had signed in. And unless this beam is covering anybody, I don't think anybody else has come in. So, going once, going twice, sold. Next item up, we have 2 board meeting minutes. I looked at the March 21st regular town board meeting minutes, and I make a motion that we approve them.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye. Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
I was not present, I shall abstain.
And then, last week, we had a special town board meeting, and I reviewed those March 28th special board meeting minutes, and I make a motion that we approve them.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Again, I was not present, I abstain.
And with that, aren't we all happy that Patty's back? Yeah, this is the first time that the whole board has been together since February 22nd?
We talked about that at that meeting.
Yeah?
So, glad to be back. Now,
Are
however,
you glad to be back? Good.
I'd be,
Nick Tanner saying something completely different.
I would be more happy to be back if it weren't snowing right now.
Yeah, absolutely so. I admit, I don't know who did the bills.
I did approve, review the bills, found them in order, so I would move that we approve the bills as submitted by the Director of Finance.
Second. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright? Aye. Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And I have reviewed the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance, and make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye. We were going in a different order before, so I jumped the gun, sorry.
All right.
And then,
Be anxious.
that's it. See, she's trying to make me in the bet tonight, Jeff.
Yeah.
And on table hasn't started.
That's right, okay. And I have reviewed the purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance, and make a motion that we approve those.
Second?
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Charlie, do you mind if we shoehorn this in? We
Not
have
at
a-
all.
We have a
Not at all.
resolution that I'm gonna let Town Attorney Janessa.
Sure, I'll be glad to explain.
It is not on the agenda.
No, this is, but it's really I'll call it a non-substantive resolution, but it is a resolution. Back on March the 28th, well, a week ago, there was a resolution passed to amend the town law to permit a town engineer to reside anywhere in the county, basically to change the residency requirements that were already in our code, which did permit somebody from outside the town living here outside of living in the town to be town attorney with the condition they had to move in. That portion has been removed. In any event, we went to file this with the State of New York Department of State, which is required for all new local laws. And they said, well, you designated this local law number 4, but we don't have a local law number 3, which is correct, because local law number 3 was to have been enacted or to have been moved upon on March 21st, and it was tabled. So, the numbering was sort of out of order. We didn't think it was all that important. However, the state said, we would like you to change the number from local law number 4 to local law number 3 to keep it in chronological order. This is not something required in law as far as I know, and I've been doing this a long time. This, however, is something the Department of State wants us to do, so we are going to comply with their request. So I've asked the town board if they would consider just doing a redesignation of the local law. Everything is going to remain the same, including the date. So nothing's going to change except that we will redesignate local law number 4 to local law number 3 of 2024.
Phenomenal explanation. And is it as simple enough for me to make a motion to change local law number 4 of 2024 to be now known as local law number 3 of 2024? Is that something?
Yes, we're redesignating,
Yep.
that's all.
I second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Okay, next item up is a resolution that I'm pretty certain, if memory serves me, this is a annual one we always do.
Yes, it is.
Jennifer, I don't know if you had any questions on this, since this is your first time seeing this.
I do not, but anything that has to do with stopping DWI is extraordinarily important, so.
Okay, well then.
So I would move to authorize the town supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement and funding with Monroe County for the Stop DWI programs.
A second.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. Well, the next item up tonight, I would assume, definitely, Art, you're probably the main person, no pun intended, person to describe this. Maybe with some assistance from Paul if needed?
Absolutely. Paul's my right-hand man.
That's
right. So, so as we've talked about at a few other meetings, this is to award a bid for sewer work from Phillips Road to Tibor Road, and it's upgrading the 12,500 feet of conveyance pipe, as well as replacing 57 manholes. And along with that, we are looking to the future to upsize a little bit more pipe in some undeveloped areas along that path. So Morris Pipeline was a low bid, and we're asking for a resolution to award the bid to Morris Pipeline.
I have no questions.
Questions you have tonight? I don't, don't want to come across as tone deaf to the community, so I'm gonna let this one rip. This conveyance pipe, I mean, the low bid ends up being around
Actually, I can grab this supervisor.
6, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's a little bit short. So right, so there was 4 bids ranging from almost $6 million to just over $9 million. So a good range of bids. We believe the 2 high bids were due to the 2 contractors, one being busy and 2 having a little more overhead than the others. And the 2 low bids were about where we felt they should be. So it falls within what we had planned for. Morris Pipeline was de-scoped by both MRB, the town interim engineer, as well as Costage engineers. They exact team that de-scope and felt they were more than appropriate to complete the work. And just as an adder, during this bid process, we did ask for a 5% bid bond with submission of their proposal. And all of them did.
Larry?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, both low bids were under the engineer's estimate, and they were actually very close in number, but overall, we're very pleased.
I was just surprised at the $4 million swing in the bids.
And bigger companies, and I know one of them just doesn't have the manpower. They're busy. They're
Yeah.
both very busy.
Oh, yeah,
So
well, that makes sense.
In our proving that, we don't finish each other's sentences, I loved what you just described and what Paul described. Give a little bit more meat on the bone of this, but when I said I don't want to come across to the community if somebody's watching this live or on tape, this is what I'm going to let rip. So this conveyance pipe project is really an upsizing of 12,000 linear feet of sewer mains starting at Tibor Road, which is where the Coke Fairlife plant is being built, and meandering along through the Xerox campus and tying into about a 36-inch main on Phillips. Is that
That's
correct,
correct.
Eric? And when we looked at this project, the town did a couple of things. One, we have been in constant communication with the Coke Fairlife leadership and their attorneys, Charlie, as to the fact that we would not be venturing into this municipal project on our infrastructure if it wasn't for Coke Fairlife coming to town. So it was very important that right from the beginning, Coke Fairlife was on board to essentially pay for this. And Charlie, everything I've seen, they are certainly on board for that. What has moved around a lot, and it's your profession, Charlie, you attorneys, I'll tell you, all jokes aside, we made problems to solve them. But what we were talking about just a few minutes ago, the reason why we did not adopt the original local law 3 to change the one-time sewer tie-in fee is that the Coke attorneys and our attorney with Harris Beach, who's our bond counsel, who's helping us on this, said it would be better to really split the two contracts, if you want to call it, between the town and Coke, one being specific to the conveyance pipe project, and one being more specific to one-time tie-in fee, industrial use agreement to the sewer treatment plant. And really, without getting a lot of detail, that does make the most sense. So this conveyance pipe, along the lines, Art, I think it was Art Patron, came and said, hey, you know, if we build it to this size, it'll certainly handle the capacity of the current flow that goes through that pipe from current housing and industrial or commercial. And it also will handle the 2 million gallons a day that Coke Fairlife is estimating. But Art said, you know, for maybe not that much more money, we can maybe make the pipe a little bit larger in certain places and have excess flow so that if in the future there is housing developments that need to lateral into this 12,000 linear feet, and or probably more viable is if the Xerox campus gets cobbled up and sold away, some of the parcels there, whoever buys them and develops there might want to have capacity to tie into that main. And essentially, you're talking about a $7 million conveyance pipe project that about 6.7 million of it is going to be picked up by Coke Fairlife, and the town, and I'm using round numbers, is picking up approximately $300,000 of it, because the town made the conscious decision to go with a larger pipe in certain areas to make sure that we didn't basically do a project that we could never in the future have housing or industry tie into. And it's not a straight line, for lack of better terms, calculation, because the excess flow that could go through that pipe for that under 300,000 is about 720 million gallons, what is it, 720,000 gallons a day, which equates to about 4,500 EDUs. I know in this town, people who pay attention to sewer stuff know that EDU is kind of the metric we use. So that's a lot of potential for excess flow, and to have the town really invest under 300,000 for that, for things that could come along, because just, you know, I would put it this way, if in the next 5 years 4,500 EDUs come in and they pay our one-time tie-in fee, Paul, what is 4,500 times 1,000?
4.5.
Is it 4.5 million?
45.
I think it's 4.5 million.
45, yeah.
So it seemed like a good investment by the town, knowing that where that area is going to have development, either of housing and industry, and in today's dollars to be able to have that excess of $200,000, $300,000 for the potential of picking up at today's one-time fees, $4.5 million. It seemed like a very good decision. And that's what I meant by I'm going to let it rip on the fear of being tone deaf, that we're just glossing over this resolution. How's that? With that, any questions, comments from the board before we do this?
No, I think
My comment is it's the right thing to do, because Xerox is dwindling and there's a huge opportunity for other businesses to come in there. And when they do that, capacity is going to be needed. And they will.
You always want to plan for the future.
Yep.
Well, can I make the motion to award the low bid for the Phillips Road to Tibor Road conveyance pipe project upgrade to Morse Pipeline?
You want to
And
mention
that is the total, the base bid of $5,808,431,000, and the total additive alternative number one, which that's the town portion, right, Art?
That's correct, good question.
Of $258,208 for a total of, is that,
you got added alternate two.
we're not doing alternate two. What's that add up to?
5921670.
$5,921,670. And Councilman Kale, I'm so glad you said, for those at home who saw the summary sheet on the website, alternative 2 was actually to modify approximately 30 manholes, but those manholes would have a lot of risk for change orders, because if they were in there fixing the manhole, modifying it, and they collapsed and this and that, there might be more cost in change orders. Where without alternate 2, the total base bid has 30 new manholes,
That's 57 new manholes.
or however many it is.
And those manholes we're speaking of we're replacing all, but they're well exceeded half of their useful life. And it does not make sense to try to modify them, like you said. Common sense says don't modify them well beyond half their useful life. And also speaking with our engineering teams, both Cossage and MRB, they all agree.
Yeah.
Even the contractors say, guys, take those out. And that's why we structured the bid the way we did.
Art, what did you say the amount was again?
Which, the number of manholes?
No, not the number of manholes. You gave a number, it was like 5.9.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm looking at something, I'm adding something different up then.
It's on this other page.
So did you get that motion, by the way, Dolly, or should I read it again? But that's my motion.
Second.
I'm sorry, who made the second? Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Capaldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Okay, the next one, I sent out to the board just a brief explanation of why we are considering waiving the one-time $1,000 tie-in fee to 848 Maple Drive. To the best of my knowledge, we've never done this when I've been supervisor, and I don't think this is somewhat unprecedented. The resident was on septic and got a contractor to tie into our sanitary sewer system. And that process really means they have to build their lateral, is that correct? And tie into our main.
That's correct.
Without getting too complicated on this, the resident partnered with 2 other neighbors who were on septic and somewhat thought, hey, if we get the same contractor, we get economies of scale and they can do this all at one time. Well, 848 is on the other side of the road of where the sewer main is. So that was more excavation going under the road to get to the main. The 2 other neighbors were on the side of the road of the main and had relatively easy path to the main. The way it was explained to me, and it gets a little interesting, is that there's a Y, is that what it's called in the
That's
main,
correct.
where a lateral can go into. And the 2 neighbors who were on the correct side of the road, if you want to say it, the main, they tied into their Ys. When this property went to tie into the Y, there was a lot of problems, and it looked as if maybe a Y was never there. And if the Y wasn't there, this main was put in 10 to 15 years ago when there was a subdivision built next to it. And in those situations, the town goes out and does periodic inspections as the sewer pipe is being put in. I had no idea 10 to 15 years ago what those inspections looked like. So I don't want to go back and whatever. And after I talked to the gentleman and I got corroboration to this, long story short, the guy spent a lot of money, more than he thought, to tie into this thing. And I thought it was the right thing to do for this resident to waive the $1,000.
I believe you said in your email, correct me if I'm wrong, but he paid approximately 4 times the amount that his neighbors paid.
That's what he says. You know, I didn't decide to audit this and get receipts and go to the
Right.
2 other neighbors and say, I want to see, you know, how much did you pay and this and that, but
It's understandable
the
because he's
story
on
was
the other side of
plausible.
the road, and when
Right.
he went to tie in, there's no Y there,
Yes.
right? And the Y that wasn't there,
Yeah.
nobody knows, so.
So,
That's why I thought it was more than fair for the town to waive that one-time fee, but that's just my opinion based upon the information that was provided. And the fact that, you know, he got over there, the town did not provide that line, should have been there. I guess, I don't know.
well,
Right,
whoever the developer was that put in the subdivision and built the sewer, put the pipe in there, that then we do the inspections, and then when they're done, we take that occasion up.
right.
I don't know what happened 10 to 15 years ago, but why wasn't there?
It's the right thing to do, in my opinion.
No, and the bottom line is it's up to us to inspect that to be sure it's done properly.
Right, we're just roughing the requirement.
Right.
Ostensibly, it's the town's fault.
It's the right thing to do.
So I'm gonna make a motion to waive the one-time sewer tie-in fee, sanitary sewer tie-in fee at 848 Maple Drive.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill, Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Well, this one, the next one spawns off of the conveyance pipe project, doesn't that?
Absolutely. So, along with the planning of this conveyance pipe project, I've had weekly meetings with RG&E because there are numerous poles that are in our easement that will need to be relocated, held, numerous other things. And talking to Attorney Genesi, he guided that, gave me some guidance that this would be appropriate. So there's 19 service poles on Schlegel Road that will need to be relocated. They're currently in the easement and need to be relocated within the easement. And that's what we're asking for a resolution for.
So I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
Who's paying for the relocation?
I can answer
Yeah,
that.
who's paying for the relocation of the poles? It's not-
That would be Coke Fairlip.
Yeah.
And it's outside of the agreement that we're gonna have with them because Coke and Coke Fairlife and RG&E have about a $20 million worth of work to do. In fact, I think it's pretty widely known that New York State awarded a grant to RG&E of $20 million that really was to bring the power onto this site for Coke. And so in our conversations with Coke, and correct me if I'm wrong, Art, that the Coke Fairlight people are like, we'll take care of that directly.
Great.
That's what they've said to me. And when Charlie and I sit down next week with Jeff Storch at Harris Beach and the attorneys for Coke and we do this conveyance thing, it won't be just a conversation. It'll be overtly somewhere in the writing. Those RG&E costs to this conveyance pipe project, not our problem. Period. So, any other questions?
That's all I had.
I make a motion to allow RG&E to relocate 19 service poles that are currently in the town easement along Schlegel Road to be located within the town easement in conjunction with the Phillips Road to Tibor Road sewer project.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Well, I assume Brayton, you gotta be the key guy on this, but we could have Patty talk, we could have Paul talk. I mean, we've all been in on this fun the last 6 months, haven't we, Brayton?
Yes.
Very verbose answer. Can you kind of explain what the next resolution up is?
Yes, it's my pleasure on behalf of the town's bargaining team to present to the town board a proposed 3-year contract extension between the town and the police officer union. We were in extensive negotiations over a long period of time to achieve a fair settlement, and it contains several important elements that are both beneficial to the officers as well as to the town. First is that the expensive health insurance plan that we have historically offered will be closed, and officers will be transferred over and new hires into a more cost-efficient, high-deductible plan, and that is something that we did consistently with our white-collar, blue-collar, and non-union employees, and so consistency will be brought there. And in doing so, though, that's a mutual gain, because there's enough premium savings in the change to high deductible to provide funding in a health savings account, so that the employee is actually better off in a plan that is less expensive to them and less expensive to the town. So we were pleased to be able to negotiate that. We were also able to negotiate a wage increase in each of the next 3 years that we thought was reasonable for the town's ability to pay, but also to keep the town police department competitive with other local police departments when we are all hiring from the same police academy, and also competing for the same transfers from surrounding counties. And so there's always a delicate balance of ability to pay, right, and being respectful of the taxpayer, as well as respecting the duties and difficulty of the position, and remaining competitive for recruitment and retention purposes. Another important element is we wanted to set up incentives in the contract to encourage long, full career service among the officers. And so we have done some enhancements with longevity and spousal, surviving spouse coverage and retiree health insurance coverage that will hopefully encourage some officers to extend their careers beyond 20 years. If they do so, it'll be beneficial to them, but it'll also generate a cost savings to the town, because it'll lower our turnover costs and reduce our retiree health insurance costs. So again, that's another mutual gain that we thought was important. There are also some additional language changes in the contract that will give the chief a little bit more flexibility for deploying the workforce in an efficient manner. So with that, the raises will become effective in April here. The change to health insurance will be effective in May, because we want to have some education sessions to make sure that officers who are changing to high deductible health plans for the first time understand exactly how to use them effectively. And then we'll be in good shape. So that's what we're respectfully requesting the board's approval.
And along those, thank you, Brady, that was very robust, and I will say that just earlier this week, I think the union membership voted approval on this. That's why we didn't have this on the agenda until I think Tuesday, because we just found out Monday, April 1st, that the union membership had voted it in. The other thing is, I mean, it's a bit of a semantic thing. It's a 3-year contract, but it really, as Brady just said, financial aspects don't kick in on wages until April 1st. We didn't go retroactive on wages, but we did use some of the town's ARPA money within this contract. And I think that's important to mention. I know Paul Adams has got a looming date of April 30th for the annual submission of our reconciliation of our slightly over $4 million of ARPA money, how much has been spent, where it's been earmarked. And Paul was on the negotiation team. Paul is an invaluable member on the negotiation team, because I can tell you that when numbers are flying around, having somebody who can quickly, kind of do the reactions of those numbers, Paul's invaluable. And I think we'll be reporting, might have April 25th at the workshop, a little bit more about the ARPA money, because
Sounds like a plan.
yeah. Other than that, any comments or questions?
I just want to thank everybody that was at the table. Negotiations went on for quite some time, and there's a lot of give and take, and a lot of stress involved at times. So I thank everyone for their cooperation and willingness to work together. So that's all I really have to say.
And I want to say that this is the first time I've been in union negotiations. I've not done that before in my position on the town board. And again, I would echo what you said, John, is that it was a very respectful process. There could have been a rush to get an agreement in place before the end of the year, but neither side was really interested in doing that. We wanted to come to the right decision for
Right.
both sides. And I'm very happy with what we have settled with, and I think it is respectful to both the law enforcement and to the town. It strikes a good balance.
Yes.
Also, I would like to to you. Writing, I know it's hard, and you spent a lot of time, and Paul and everybody else, and everyone that, sit through this process, and I'm very pleased. And I just want to thank you, our officers, and, and the union and everything that they have done for community.
I said that there's, I think, four of us on the 5-person town negotiating committee are here tonight. Brayden led it, Paul Adams, Patty Cataldi, and myself. I'd be remiss if I didn't say our 5th member was Chief Dennis Kohlmeyer. And I gotta tell you something, to the best of my knowledge, the chief of police has never sat in on the town side of these negotiations. Dennis was very open to doing that, and I thought at times during the 6 months and the 8 meetings and the almost 30 hours in these things, it was a tough position that he was sitting there across the table from, really, that's his team, that's his officers, that's who he's trying to build a culture of trust and this and that. And he's on the other side of the table.
Right.
That's just a tough position to be in. And Dennis is a consummate pro. He handled himself, I think he was phenomenal.
Yeah, Chief Kohlmeyer is really one of the finest. But I would never want to be in negotiations without having a subject matter expert on my team. Because without someone who understands all the intricacies and details of the day-to-day profession that you're negotiating, you can make a big mistake.
Sure.
You can agree to something that breaks things that work instead of make things better. And so, having the chief not being there, I would never want to negotiate that way.
The other thing I want to say is you sort of glossed over it, Brayden, but there was a lot of cleanup just of language in the old contract, and I think that sometimes when you get into negotiations for this, you can focus on those maybe 3 things that are always important, and you never get back and take a critical look at the contract itself. So there were many things that both sides agreed on needed to be changed and corrected, and that was all cleaned up with this as well.
That's a great point, by the way. I've been in negotiations once, and there was some language in there that wasn't really focused on, but when you focused on it, you took a good look at it, we were like, why is this language in here? It should come out. But there was a lot of discussion before that language was allowed to come out, but, great point, Patty, great point.
I think 1987 was the last time that a top-to-bottom review of the contract was conducted. 1987 was a fantastic year. I graduated high school, so I think that's good, but maybe we could have done it some in between there too.
All right,
I really want to say that Brayden was a slow student, he graduated when he was 30, but I'm not, I'm going to make a motion.
So actually, I
can't
would make the
this
motion. I would make a motion to approve and authorize the town supervisor to sign the Police 1000 Club Union contract for a term of 3 years, 2024 to 2026.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Lynn? Aye. Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Supervisor Curry?
Aye. All right, since I already lost the bet with Councilman Cahill, which we didn't really shake it.
Well,
We're coming down to the end, because we only have really 2 substantive, I'll say, resolutions left, and then the last one is
So you think about 8:30, right?
No, I'm gonna try to make this quick because, the next two resolutions, these are memorandum of understandings, between the town of Webster government and the village of Webster government. These two memorandums of understanding were, I think at the March 28th village board meeting, had resolutions done to have the mayor sign. Actually, Jerry Abolito was the deputy mayor signing. And tonight, as we look at these memorandums of understanding, I will say that the timing of this is because tomorrow, Matt Chatfield, the executive director of the Weapons Security Economic Development Alliance, on behalf of the town of Webster, is formally applying for, I guess, the federal grant funds out of the budget through Senator Gillibrand's office for $3.5 million. Now, the $3.5 million that the town is applying for is really pursuant to the road system in and around the Xerox campus. When I became supervisor 4 years ago, one of my first meetings was over at the village with the Xerox people and Matt Chatfield. And at that time, there was a $9 million project being considered to basically fix up the roads on the Xerox campus, particularly Mitchell Dean Parkway in San Jose, Orchard and Panama. These are Xerox roads. These are private roads. I would imagine 99 out of 100 people in the community of Webster would never know that those are private roads. They drive on them, they figure they're town roads or village roads. They're not. So the $9 million project was to fix them up and get them into the condition that the town and or the village could take dedication to them and make them town and village roads, which is really the skeleton foundation to taking a 1,000-acre campus that was never built 60 years ago to be modular and broken up. But if you can get those roads into the public domain, now you start to build the grid of breaking up that campus into 80-acre parcels to be sold off. At that time, the village applied, with Matt Chatfield's help, through Empire State Development for a slightly over $1.8 million grant. And they got it. Now the terms of that grant were that it would cover 20% of the project. And then it had to be matched with the other 80% by whoever, whether it was Xerox or the town or other grants or whatever. And as time went on, it was seen that this project was, we had bitten off more than we can chew. And actually, since most of these roads would have been dedicated to the village, the town didn't bite off more than they could chew. The town was really kind of a guest at these meetings. So when they saw that the project was going to be truncated down to maybe just Mitchell Dean and some parts of Orchard and Panama, they figured out that it was really only going to be about a $2.5 million project. But ESD, the terms of their deal is a 20%. Well, they switched that, which I thought was great of ESD, to make it a 50%. That's a big move. So now this $2.5 million project that the village is going to do, they can use $1.25 million of that $1.8 million. But that still leaves over $600,000 of that ESDA grant that you either are throwing back in the water, which would be a shame. But Matt Chatfield, I got to give him credit, he went to ESD and he said, is there a way we could get into kind of a lead agency village, but then in some MOU where the town could also use some of that, to the tune of about $670,000, because we have some work we'd like to do, like a 1,600-foot road extension of Boulder Parkway, potentially extending Chiota going west through town land to hit 250. ESD agreed to that. And so one of the MOUs here is basically papering up the fact that as that money is utilized, that the town is going to give $669,000 of what is a grant from ESD to the village. turnabout's fair play. Now the town is about to apply for $3.5 million. And the reality is that $3.5 million, which we worked with Senator Gillibrand's, I don't know about chief of staff, but whoever is the main person here in Rochester, somewhat coached us through how much to apply for and how to, apply it to this campus. And really, the $3.5 million, the town, those aren't all town road projects, there's some village in there. So there's a second MOU that essentially is, if we get awarded this grant from Senator Gillibrand's federal monies, that in essence, we're going to reimburse the village for the $669,000 that they gave us through the MOU, and they were the lead agency on their ESD grant. So we're the lead agency on the MOU for the $3.5 million, where we're somewhat saying that when we get awarded, we will give the village back $669,000, because they got plenty of work to do on those village roads. And we would use the money for the town road portions that we have slotted for this. If I haven't bored you to death yet, and you have questions, which you might have, we also just got awarded at Chatfield once again, was very critical to this, from Congressman Morelli and Senator Schumer's federal monies from the budget of '24, $500,000. The village got awarded that. So little by little, we're stockpiling these grants that hopefully at some point will be critical mass for this really now almost $8 million project of where it's at now, if you wanted to do the whole kit and caboodle inside that Xerox campus. There's about $2.4 million in grants supported already from ESD and from Congressman Morelli's office. This is a $3.5 million grant. We are still in conversations with Xerox because they have a lot to gain from this, so it might be interesting if they have some skin in the game in this. And potentially other people that are coming into that campus that might have some skin in the game. So there's a lot of parties that may make up that total $8 million when all is said and done. But this is a cog in the wheel of that. And without these MOUs, going with the package tomorrow, I can assure you we can stand no chance of getting awarded the $3.5 million. So I'll get off my soapbox, and I wish Matt Chatfield was here, he's on vacation. He could have explained that a heck of a lot better than I just did.
Well, it's good to know that I remember reading this in the paper years ago, that the work was taking place, or there was some sort of grant years ago, like, I guess it's been 5 years now, and I was wondering what happened with that, so it's good to know that that work is happening, so now if the roads get fixed along with the conveyance pipes, then you're set up for some development in the future.
Inside that campus?
Inside that campus.
No doubt about it.
That needs something in there, desperately. The one question I have is, you said there was a cost to upgrading those roads, and that was a cost 5 years ago. Do you know, or is there any work been done on how that cost might have changed?
Yeah, actually, it's Matt has a nice grid of it, and that's why I wish he was here. Orchard, Panama, Folger Extension, Childhood Extension. The way they're going to see, San Jose has kind of dropped out of this, so I think it's down in the high 7s as a total. And I can't really comment on why San Jose has dropped out of that, because San Jose would always have been a village road. So I'm at these meetings, but I'm interested in what's going to happen to the town. And the village has made a decision, whatever, San Jose is not part of this. But San Jose is also on the far south of that campus. It's not as critical to the connectivity of that campus and for lack of better terms, cobbling it up into, especially the parcels that Xerox has approached us on after Tessie bought 110 acres, 1.5 million square feet, Xerox approached us, the town and village, and said, hey, you know, here's our campus, here's 4 or 5 parcels that are 40 to 80 acres, we'd like to see if maybe we can move on these. I don't think San Jose affects any of those. I think that's why it hit the editing room floor.
Well, and I would speculate that certainly the cost has increased in the past 5 years. And a way to bring it back
When it comes to
into
road
scale of doing it now,
Guarantee.
perhaps that's the one that dropped off.
Well, from the beginning, San Jose dropped off, and went back at the beginning, Bolger extension was not a glimmer in our eye, nor had there been any really discussion of Chiota extending west through town land to 250. But when you see what Xerox might do with the west campus, that becomes very practical and viable to have that connectivity from Phillips to 250 and Chiota. So. Well, I can't make a motion on any of that.
No, I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Village of Webster and the Town of Webster on Empire State Development, $1.838 million grant to Village on Xerox campus roads, and authorize the supervisor to sign said MOU.
Second.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Feldy?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Then I would move to approve a memorandum of understanding between the Town of Webster and the Village of Webster on town application for $3.5 million federal grant on Xerox campus roads, and to authorize the supervisor to sign said MOU.
Second.
Councilwoman Feldy?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. All right.
I would move,
Thank you, John.
I would move to approve the following item for transfer from the DPW department. Desk work table tag number 028025.
Second.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Councilwoman Feldy?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. Well, that concludes the formal agenda tonight, so we'll roll right into roundtable. And Arthur, we'll start with you.
Fantastic, just glad to be here. So there is a lot of construction going on at the wastewater treatment facility. There's a lot of equipment, there's a lot of mud. Our high-strength waste building is out of the ground, roof is on it, and they're beginning to site it. A lot of electrical going on, there's a lot of outdated electrical that they're trying to sort out and figure out so they can bring everything up to code. A few weeks ago, when they were excavating for the sub-base for our 2 new gravity thickeners, they came across 2 buried tanks. The buried tanks held water. They were 45 foot long, 12 foot diameter, so the volume of that is about 45,000 gallons. Thankfully it was water, and we did have it tested and so forth, so that was great. One was empty, one we were able to pump out back into the system. So those are now out of the ground, and it's taken them quite a bit of time to cut those up because it was 1/4 inch steel.
Holy smokes.
Have you seen a picture of this?
No.
It's it looks like submarines.
I thought I
They're
said,
huge.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, you did, Patty.
No, I thought I said
No,
no.
the favorites.
I'll send some pictures out.
I'm kidding.
So for those board members that haven't been down in a while, I would encourage you to reach out and let's schedule a time. It's not raining to come down and see us. I would also like to take the opportunity to get on the soapbox and encourage our residents not to flush things down the toilet. That shouldn't be. And this really is a kudos to our staff. Today we had 2 staff members down 10 feet into a hole, pulling flushable wipes out of our pumps and so forth. That took 2 gentlemen 5 hours to do that in the rain and snow. It is just, it's not good, it's costly, and puts our staff in positions that we don't want them to be in. Also, one of the ones that has come up about the last 3 weeks, about every 3 weeks, is a wad of yarn that somebody must be doing some arts and crafts and flushing that. So I think as a whole, the town has gotten better, but flushing this stuff is very costly to the sewer department budget. But other than that,
Well,
we're doing great. We're taking advantage of the weather. We are using our new flush truck, and honestly, we're using our old flush truck. So we're using them both, and we're getting out there and do what we can do.
To that point, thank you for doing that, because the old flush truck was often not in service, so you were running behind on a lot of that maintenance that needed to be done. So now while you've got the two, you're really making the best of that. Thank you for doing that.
We absolutely are. We're trying to make the best of it within the weather, and we're not pulling rags and flushable wipes out of pump stations.
There is a store in Fairport that takes leftover yarn from projects.
Oh,
You can donate it to them, so whoever is listening,
You know, I
heads
think,
up on that.
I think you are very community minded. What we'll do is we'll save it, we'll put it in a bag, we'll drop it off at your house.
There you
No,
go.
I'm suggesting that the person who finds
Oh, you want
flush
to?
it, they should be donating.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha, I thought you wanted to use it.
No,
I really don't know, as far as the wipes go, the flushable wipes, every 3 months, when we first moved into our house on Judson, the sewer line was back up. So I didn't want to pay like $200, $300 to have someone come down my cellar and stake out the drain, right? So I figured I'd do it myself. Both times, flushable wipes, and I figured
Find it
out who was
helpful.
doing it.
All right.
And then that was it after that, but yeah, it's difficult.
The moral of the story is flushable wipes are not flushable
Flushable.
wipes.
Yes, should not call them that.
Should be called non-flushable wipes.
Non-flushable wipes.
Yes.
Okay?
3 Ps. Pee, poop, and toilet paper.
That's the only thing that's flushable.
That's right.
I would
Spread
follow
it
that
at
up.
your next family picnic.
Yeah.
No, I can't top that, and I love the topic, so you got me. So in addition to concluding the police labor negotiations, we've had a lot of success recently filling some long-term vacancies, so I'm very happy about that, including junior planner, GIS tech, town engineer, environmental compliance officer, potentially building inspector, and some wastewater treatment plant operators. Art and I have been working on recruitment in that regard, and that's an extremely difficult field because of the DEC licensure levels. And so we've been working a lot together on building a good bench there. So it's nice to have some wins.
I'm very pleased that the conveyance pipe bid is official, and it came in under the estimate, as we mentioned previously. So that's another piece of the puzzle in the wastewater treatment plant project. I'm also pleased with the police contract. As Tom said, I think there are 21.5 hours of meetings over a 5-month period, so it was work well done, and it's good to have it behind us.
I had the opportunity to go to a construction update meeting at the highway department, and that was a lot of fun. Got to meet the team and see the progress over there, which it's coming along quite speedily because of the great winter weather we've been having. So right now it's, well, yeah, knock on wood, as of right now, it's like 5 months ahead of schedule. So hopefully it'll stay on that trajectory, and we'll be able to be in a new highway garage this year.
Ooh,
That's pretty exciting.
wow.
That's, for
This year?
for a project to be 5 months ahead of schedule, believe me, is phenomenal. That's amazing.
That was surprising to hear. That was my
Yeah,
first meeting,
yeah.
very surprising to hear, but good news. But it's, you know, when you have a mild winter,
Well, you have a mild winter, and also what's key to being ahead of the project of that magnitude is having proper subcontractors doing the work, so that they have the proper amounts of manpower. Because I can't tell you how many projects I've worked on where you've got multiple, you have electricians, painters, framers, insulators, and inevitably, especially in the HVAC and plumbers, they're having a very difficult time employing people. And all it takes is one trade to get behind,
Well,
and if you're behind them, the whole
Yeah.
schedule is off. So kudos to everybody on that project.
well, we're not, that's the key observation, is this is just the outside skeleton of the structure. So
Right.
there's still an opportunity to use some of those 5 months when they get to the inside. But
Sure.
hopefully, they do stay ahead of schedule and keep it moving forward. It'll be great for the highway department and all of the highway department employees to have a place that, you know, they can be really proud to be at and work at. And it'll be a great update for the town, them and the town as well.
I'm more deserving for with what they've been working, conditions they've been working in the last 2 years.
Oh, here's our.
And art
Here's our-
too. I'm actually gonna take a look.
Come on down.
Art's like, didn't I just tell you some guys were in a hole today?
Maybe that's why he didn't get the.
That's what happens when we don't share pictures.
Well, Patty, it really is good to have you back.
I don't really have anything much to add, except that when we're talking about the employees who are working in the sewer department and performing all of those tasks that none of us really wants to talk about, or we think about the services that our highway department gives to this town and signing the contract with our law enforcement agency, people are seeing where their tax dollars go and the services that those dollars pay for. And what we hear from our residents time and time again is that they do appreciate that and they understand how critical those services are. So I just want to thank everyone involved for that and thank the community for their appreciation of that as well.
Todd and Charlie.
We just have a lot of projects that we're working on, and I'm looking forward to many of them being completed.
Oh, I hear you on that. Jenny?
Okay, like always, please come out and support our Webster Museum and the library. They exist because of you. And also too, we have, wonderful events. And check out the website so you can see what's going on. You can come out and support them. And an important one that we're gonna have is coming up this Monday, is a solar eclipse. So please come out and the Webster Rec Center and the Webster Museum, library, the Webster Library, they're gonna collaborate together and we're gonna have a spectacular event. So hopefully, with that help, we're gonna have a wonderful weather. So I hope everyone come out and join and see the spectacular, event of the year or the century for now. And thank you, be safe, have fun, and God bless America.
So I was in you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but that's okay. So I was in a project planning meeting, I think it was 2 weeks ago, in a project up in Hilton, New York. And one of the gentlemen who's a project manager in there is, I think he's at the Hilton Fire Department. And we're talking, planning like 3 weeks out, who's gonna be where, what are we doing? He brings up Mondays. Well, I just wanna let you know that Monday, 5:31, I think 31, the roads are gonna be closed. And I'm like, for what? He goes, the eclipse. And I'm like, I'm a little confused. It's gonna get dark. We have headlights. But, yeah, they're gonna be closed. So, there's gonna be a lot of traffic. Be careful, be safe. You can stop at the, I think the rec center, also, and someplace else, and get your glasses. That's gonna be very
Town hall.
Library.
Town hall, library, yeah.
And the best too.
Yeah, so if you're gonna be out and you're gonna be looking up, make sure you have your glasses for the eclipse. It's very, very important.
Supervisor?
I've got one. So this morning, one of our contractors, not on site, had one of his employees hit by a car, critical condition. The message I want to convey is slow down around these guys. And the individual's going 40 miles an hour, and young guy, so slow down around these guys working, please.
Yeah, great point, great point. And just to piggyback off that a little bit is, so I live in the village, and I was coming home probably 2-3 days ago, and it was dark when I came home, and somebody was walking their dog. It was a black lab, and they had all dark. I mean, if you possibly can, if you're walking your dog, wear something high visible, please, or reflective. It's very, very important, because I didn't see him, and at the last moment, I was like, well, I pulled over, you know, avoided him.
Well, last week, John Cahill baited me into doing the round table. I'm not going to do that again. So, unless anybody else has anything,
Oh, boy.
yes, Brady.
Now it's $40, by the way.
Some of the council members mentioned the eclipse on Monday, and there's been announcements on the website and news release and Facebook and such, but as a reminder for anybody listening, that Town Hall will be closed as of 1 o'clock on Monday to avoid traffic congestion at the recommendation of the police chief. So come on in the morning and then spend your afternoon enjoying a once-in-a-lifetime event by not visiting Town Hall.
Well, with that, this meeting is adjourned. So, Jen,
Yeah.
You're out.
I'm not kidding you. I'm at Hooligans on Saturday night. My wife, two sons, and 4 sons. Yeah.